you're actually familiar with just from your geometry formulas for circumference and area of a circle. With circumference, you always learn that the formula was pi d or 2 pi r. That was circumference, and area was the same thing as pi r squared. Now, where did they get these values from? This 2 pi right here, when we talk about 2 pi, that is radians for a whole circle. It's like if you want to know the circumference around the whole circle, you would take the whole thing in radians, which is 2 pi, and multiply it times the radius. That's how you'd get the area. That's what that 2 pi is. That's radians. So in a circle, you might know that there's 360 degrees all the way around the circle. That is equal to 2 pi in radians. This one's radians, this one's degrees. So we have degrees here, and this one is radians. And that's how they convert. Now, if we divide by 2, we can also see that down here, pi radians is the same thing as 180. So 2 pi is equal to 360 degrees, or you could say pi is equal to 180 degrees. Now, how we find radian measure is there's a couple things that if we wanted to find here this arc length, they give us a formula. Theta equals S over R, where S is the arc length. So if we want to know the angle, you could take the S and you divide it by the R. That'll give you the angle. And how we get 1 radian is when these two are equal to each other. When the S and the R are the same, then that's what 1 radian is. In a circle, there are 3.14 radians times 2 because it's 2 pi. So it'd be 3.14 times 2. So to get here, 180 degrees away, you would go 3.14 radians, and then to go all the way around, it'd be about 6.28 radians. So that's how we convert back and forth. So let's now try. It says there's 135 degrees, and write it as radians in multiples of pi. So here's what we do. If you want to cancel out radians, as I just did in the previous example, you divide, if I want to cancel out degrees, I divide by degrees. Well, the conversion is 180 degrees per 1 pi radian. So this is the math that we would do. So I'm going to go in the calculator and type 135 and divide that by 80. So if I go 135 and divide that by 180, I get 3/4. That means over here that when I multiply, I have 3 pi over 4. I didn't type the pi in the calculator. I'm just going to leave it. And that is what it is in radians. It's 3 pi over 4. Let's try another one. It says write negative 30 degrees in radians. So negative 30, and you'd multiply. If I want to cancel out degrees, then I would divide by those degrees. So those degree symbols would cancel, and I put pi on top. Now this one, I know 30 goes into negative 30 negative 1 times, and I know that 30 goes into 180 6 times. So this would be negative pi over 6 radians, this answer here. And by the way, I didn't do this in the last. Your degree symbols would cancel. Once you have one on the top, one on the bottom, they cancel. So I should do the same thing there. Those would cancel out. And now let's convert the other way. It says write 2 pi over 3 in degrees. So we'd start with 2 pi over 3. Now if I want to get to degrees, I need to cancel the pi. So this time I put pi on bottom because this will cancel the pi's. Now what's pi equal to? 180 degrees. So when I cancel here, that goes away, that goes away. I know 3 can go into 180 60 times, so this is 2 times 60, which would be 120 degrees, and that would be my answer. Again, you could type these in the calculator, and it'll give you the same value. Let's try another one. It says negative 3 pi over 4. We want to write this in degrees. So if I'm going to write in degrees, I need to cancel the pi. So I'll put pi on bottom. If I'm canceling a pi, then I need 180 on top because that's what the conversion is. 180 degrees is the same thing as pi. Now that I have it written this way, my pi's cancel, and I could try to reduce. 4 goes into 180 45 times. So this is basically negative 3 times 45, which should be a negative 135 degrees. And that is my answer. So now you try writing 150 degrees in radians.